on that story?
Well, the people I've spoken to generally admit this is a big problem, but on the whole, they reinforce the view that it's a lack of resources rather than a lack of will that means that people are getting away with it. But that isn't the case in Northern Ireland. We've heard from someone employed by the Housing Executive. That's the body that controls all the social housing in Northern Ireland. His words are voiced up by an actor to protect his identity, but he claims the executive are not prepared to tackle this problem.
People are, I use the word frightened, but then I hesitate and think, well, no, people are sort of, apathy would be the word from my experience, from the top down. And when you report it, it's sort of, yeah, we know about that, or I had an idea that was going on, and if they report it to their higher authority, it's quickly forgotten and goes away.
So he's saying that even when people do report the problem, little happens.
Exactly, and just an extra bit of information for you. The actor we used to voice up that employee's words lives in a housing association property in a very posh part of London. He thinks that at least half the flats in his block are being sublet. But back to our whistleblower, and he says that the Northern Ireland Housing Executive should have a specialist team of investigators looking into this problem. At the moment, the only action that's taken is they might knock on a door or put a letter through it.
Seems like the issue is the lack of resources again. Now, do any of these problems in Northern Ireland stem from the Troubles? Is there a fear that investigating this could lead to bigger problems?
Well, this employee says they're using that as an excuse. He claims there's a culture of fear which only the country's politicians can change.
I really believe that action has got to come from the top, because through talking with colleagues and other people, the politicians are as aware of what's going on as what the people are on the ground. People don't speak out because now the peace process is ongoing. It's to hell with people's lives, to hell with this, to hell with that, as long as the peace process is kept intact. But I personally think that's only an excuse. This has gone on during the Troubles, and during the Troubles, they used the Troubles as an excuse for not dealing with these issues. It's total incompetence. And people can't speak out because they'd be sacked. They'd be got rid of.
Joining me on the phone now to answer some of those claims is Colin Macaulay, Director of Housing at the Housing Executive in Northern Ireland. Colin, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Now, Colin, I suppose the allegation is that you're complacent to a problem of serious housing fraud.
Yeah, well, I suppose I can understand how some people would get frustrated and want us to adopt a much more gung-ho approach. But I think that the tactics that we're currently deploying are working reasonably well. If I could illustrate that, last year we took 600 cases through legal action, and we recovered at least 200 of them.
How big do you think the problem is, Colin?
I think it is significant, but it's not pervasive, and I suppose that you would translate that numerically into hundreds rather than thousands. It's sufficiently severe for us to recruit, even just last month, an additional 12 fraud officers. So we do take it seriously. By the way, we don't rehouse any of these people, I should add. I think there's a difference between Northern Ireland and England in that respect.
One of the concerns, Colin, is that none of these new fraud officers are specialised officers, and from other councils and boroughs, the sense is you do need specialised officers to tackle what could be a very significant level of fraud.
Yes, well, I have to say I'm not convinced. In the past we had access to special investigators, and unfortunately their work was increasingly concentrated on serious criminal fraud, and that continues. We're more building our own internal resources on our own internal skills. I think the greatest skill here, which we have shown over a number of years, is downright persistence and gritty determination, more than some sort of high-level academic or vocational skill involved in this sort of work.
Colin Macaulay, thank you very much for joining us from the Housing Executive of Northern Ireland. I appreciate that. Okay, now, the Bangladeshi police announced this